Hi, my name's Alec and welcome to my Lawn Bowls for Fun channel. It is my intention over the coming months to produce a number of short videos on how to play lawn bowls. These sessions are aimed primarily at new bowlers, people that haven't bowled before. I'm trying to encourage them to give bowls a chance. Or possibly people that have just started and looking for some new tips, not necessarily from this first session, but from other sessions I'll do. Hopefully they'll find it useful. But it's certainly not for experienced bowlers. I don't think they'll learn anything here. Although having said that, I can think of one or two people that could learn something from it. But anyway, we won't go there. I can't teach you to play lawn bowls on a video, but I can show you quite a bit of information which will help you learn the game. And I hope that watching these videos, it will encourage you to visit your local bowling club and go in and say, I've been watching Alec on YouTube and I want to try this fantastic game he's been talking about. If I do that, then I'll be very, very happy. So what do you need to play lawn bowls? Well, first of all, you need a bowling club. Here we are. I'm at my bowling club that I play here in the summer months on grass from the end of April to about mid-September. This bowling club's at Farnborough in the very northeast part of Hampshire in southern England. Of course, come mid-September, the weather in this country isn't really ideal for outdoor bowls. So we play on an indoor surface, either on a carpet or some people call it a felt. I'm a member of Rushmoor Indoor Bowling Club, which is at the Farnborough Sports Centre, Farnborough Leisure Centre, and we meet there from end of September right the way through till early April. I will be doing some sessions from Rushmoor in the coming weeks, so you'll see the difference in the outdoor game and the indoor game. There's also a few rules difference indoors and out. I will cover those at the time. This is a 6-rink bowling club, which is normal. We're bowling at the moment towards the pavilion, and we do that for the whole week. And then next week we change over and we bowl across the green to make sure that the whole of the green is used. Today we're on rink 5 and I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of things to you. Firstly, what else do you need? Well, you need a jack. This is a jack. It's quite heavy, a bit smaller than a tennis ball, but considerably heavier. And you need a bowl. Well, that's one of my bowls. You normally have a set of 4 bowls. And for example, in a singles game, you would play another person who's also got 4 bowls. And every bowl you get nearer to the jack than your opponent, then you score a point. You can score up to 4 points, in other words. If all your 4 bowls are nearer to the jack than your opponent's, that would be pretty good going. And in the singles game, you play the first one to win 21 shots. So the game lasts something between an hour, hour and a half maybe, sometimes slightly longer, depending how close the game is. There's another game you can play, which is pairs. So that's two teams of 2. You still use 4 bowls, and it's the same idea. Get as near to the jack as possible with as many of your bowls, so you can score anything between 1 and 8 shots this time. Of course, if you do score 8 shots, where all your 8 bowls are nearer to the jack than your opponent's nearest bowl, then that's very rare. It's a bit like hole-in-one in golf, really, I suppose. It won't happen that often, but it does happen. It happened to me last year. I scored what they call a hot shot, but it won't happen regularly. Now the pairs game is played to 21 ends, and an end consists of when you bowl all your bowls down in one direction, both teams, and when the last bowl is finished, then you go and count up how many you scored. That is an end. So you do that 21 times. It's quite a long game, usually about 2.5 hours on average. The triples game is again pretty simple. It's 3 people aside, and this time you use 3 bowls each. And again, you can score anything from 1 shot up to 9. again, that would be a hot shot, even rarer than scoring 8. And the final game is what they call rinks, which is 4 people aside. You use 2 bowls in a rinks game, and again, like the pairs, you can score between 1 and 8 shots, and it is again to 21 ends. I started playing bowls here 35 years ago. I moved just round the corner, and I'd always fancied giving bowls a try, having tried various other sports. And I came here thinking, probably I'll see what it's like for a couple of years, and here I am still here 35 years later. I would consider myself an average bowler. I'm not a top class player, but I do alright. But the main thing is I enjoy the game and always have done. Then about 10 years ago, I qualified as a coach, and I've been teaching people ever since. I suppose over that time I've taught bowls to about roughly 200 people. I lost count, to be perfectly honest, and I thoroughly enjoy doing that. Now, as I said earlier, I can't really teach you to play bowls on a video, but I can tell you a lot about the game, a lot of information, and if you're considering taking up the sport, then by watching these videos, hopefully it'll give you more insight into the game and encourage you to go to your local bowling club and go in and ask them to teach you to play. Like Farnborough, most bowling clubs have people that will be willing to do that, whether they're a qualified coach or not, or just someone that's keen to teach new people. So all you've got to do is turn up and ask. You don't have to buy anything, you just turn up in loose clothing because you're going to be doing some bending, and the most important thing is flat shoes, no heels at all, something like trainers ideally, because heels can damage the bowling green. Don't buy a set of bowls. They'll have bowls available at the club for you to use, and they will advise you which bowls will be best for you. If you live locally to Farnborough, of course, you're very welcome to come here. We haven't got much time left this season outdoors, but you're still welcome to come along if you want to, or you can come and see me indoors at Rushmoor Indoor Bowling Club in October, and then we will be coaching Saturday mornings and Wednesday mornings from then on. So do come and give us a visit. If you're not near Farnborough, pop into your local bowling club and you will be welcomed, I can assure you. I now want to talk about the jack. This is a jack. They come in yellow or white. Yellow has become popular again because it doesn't clash with white shoes if you're wearing them. And what I'm going to demonstrate now is how to send the jack down the green. The first thing to do though is to show you how to hold the jack, and that is not place it in the cup of your hand, but to use your 3 fingers and put your thumb on top like that. If you send that in a straight line down the green, you're more likely to keep that line. It'll leave your hand straighter than if it was in the palm of your hand. Sometimes when you let go of the jack and the palm of your hand, it can go off in a different direction. So that's the easiest way, is to hold the jack with those 3 fingers underneath and then the thumb on top. I shall now demonstrate. So here I am, I have the mat in my hand and the jack. I'm placing the mat on the surface of the green. The front of the mat must be 2 meters from the ditch. You can see the little white mark down the edge of the rink a little further away near the flower pots, and that's the 2 meter mark. So I know I'm just over the 2 meter mark. It can be further up the green if you wish, but to start with we'll put it there. I took my time, I thought about what I was doing, how much distance I want. I am now telling the person down the other end how far it's got to be moved to centre it in the rink. You must have it centred on the green first. A couple of inches, there we go, it's all set up and ready to go. Now I'm going to talk about the bowls you'll be using. I'll keep this straightforward for this first session, but just to give you an idea, know what you're doing. This is one of my bowls, and you can see if you look at it that way, it looks round. But if you turn it in this direction, you can see that it actually isn't. It's shaped, both sides of the bowl. Now if you've watched any bowling on television or been to a bowling green, you'll probably will have noticed that the bowl doesn't actually run straight. It does bend. towards the end of its journey. Okay, the reason for that is that the bowl has a bias. On one side of the bowl is shaped different to the other. So when you have the bowl, how do you determine which side the bias is on? Well, it's quite straightforward really. If you look at the bowl here, as I hold it up, you'll see on that side there's a small disc, a small sticker on a small circle. The other side, the circle is bigger, and in fact there's the name of the bowling club, normally goes round the bowls on that side. Most bowling clubs have those, so you can recognise your bowls against another club's bowls. So it's this side that's got the bias, the side with the smaller ring, and usually with the sticker, the little dot. There's also other information there. There's the size of the bowl, there's the serial number, which is unique for each set of bowls. There's the world stamp, which I'll explain in greater detail when I do a session on bowls. And there's, in fact, this is a Thomas Taylor, that's the manufacturer. So where there's other information and the small sticker, that's the side that has the bias. So that's the bit that as the bowl rolls along, it will fall over in that direction. So as I'm holding it at the moment, it will bend in this direction. If I turn it over, it will now bend that way. So how do you determine the line? If you can imagine an imaginary line down the centre of the green, directly where I'm facing, if I'm going to bowl to the right of the line, I stand facing that direction, and I make sure that as I'm bowling to the right, that in my hand the bias is on the left. If I should have it on the right, as I bowl to the right, it will go even further to the right, which is what I don't want. Obviously it will be going outside the green. So I'm bowling to the right, I want the bias on the left that will bring the bowl back into the centre of the line. Obviously if I turn and face the other way, I'm facing left. As you can see, I'm not facing straight down the green, I'm facing in the direction I'm going to bowl. The bias is now in the right hand part of my hand because I'm bowling to the left. Same thing, bowl to the left, and it will come back to the right, to the centre of the green. The other way to remember it, because some people have trouble sort of working that one out, the other way to remember it is, again, imagine an imaginary line down the centre of the green. As long as the bias is always facing that centre line, you can't go wrong. If it's the other way around, where the bias is facing away from the centre line, that's not the way to bowl. So turn the bowl round, facing the centre line. Again, if I bowl to the right, as long as the bias is facing the centre of the line that you're bowling along, then so correct your bias and make sure that in your hand it's facing the right way. Otherwise the bowl's going to go nowhere near the jack. In fact, likely as it could even go outside of the rink. It does happen, even experienced bowlers sometimes put the bias in the wrong hand, but don't worry, sometimes you just forget to turn the bowl round. Sometimes you're determined to do one thing, you change your mind, face the other way, you forget to turn the bowl over, or the bowl's going to go out the rink. And everybody does it from time to time, but best not to make a habit of it really, if you can. Okay? And how do you grip that when you're on the green? Well, it's very simple. You just create a cradle with your hand and you plonk the bowl in the middle of the cradle. That's it. Very simple. And it works very, very well as well, I would say. Just remember that the three fingers are on the running surface of the bowl. You can see that. The middle finger is in the centre of the bowl as well. And that's quite important because the last part of the hand that will fill the bowl when you release it is the middle finger. So it's useful if that's on the centre of the running surface. Don't grip the bowl with the little finger, because if you do that, it could well wobble. But your the thumb obviously does need to grip the bowl. In fact, you should be able to turn the bowl over and hold it and still grip it. But try not to grip too much with the little finger, that could cause a problem. So that's how to hold a bowl, very simple. So here are 4 bowls that I sent down the green, just to show you the different bias and what can happen to the bowl. The first one went through about a yard, although the green that I took was quite good. The the second bowl, which is just about to be released now, I'm using the other hand. And I was a little bit thin with this, which means that it went inside, it came inside the line a little bit too much. The weight wasn't too bad, but I need to take a bit more green really. My third bowl, here it comes. This is a better green. Am I going to get the jack? Just clipped it, so yeah, not a bad bowl at all. Ended up about 12-13 inches past the jack. And here comes my last bowl. This looks a better one. If I can just take that jack forward a little bit, there we are, lovely bowl. So what I've done here is I've placed 3 coloured markers on the green, as you can see. The yellow marker represents the centre of the rink. So what you're aiming to do is to bowl on either the blue or the red marker, depending on whether you want to use your backhand or your forehand. You can't usually use markers in a game, of course, but there are usually different colours on the green. There are light bits of shade of grass, or white bits, or whiter bits, and darker shades. There's normally something you can find between sort of 4, 5, 6 metres in front of the mat that can be your focal point. So try and find little, it doesn't have to be right on the line. You can maybe aim 2 or 3 inches to the left of a little dark patch, and that's your line. This is the view from looking back to the mat. You can see the 3 markers there. The yellow line is what you don't want to bowl on. If you hit that marker, you'll end up not very near the jack at all. So aiming to the left or the right on the markers. And this is looking all the way down the rink. You can see the end of the rink, the little white marker, the centre of the rink. You see the yellow one is lined up with that. So if you aim either side of that marker, the red or the blue, you should end up roughly central on the rink, depending on your weight, of course, whether you're near the jack or not. But as I say, just take your time, focus on the green, not necessarily on the bank. That's a bit harder to do, although some people prefer to do that. But it's easier, I think, to aim a focal point nearer to where the mat is. Now, if you're right-handed, the right is called the forehand, and if you bowl to the left, it's called the backhand. If you're left-handed, it's the other way round. Left-handed to the right is the backhand, and to left is the forehand. That really doesn't matter at the moment, but I'll just continue calling it right and left. That's easier for you to follow. Now I'm going to demonstrate in a minute how to bowl on the mat, but just remember that you need to point in the direction that you're bowling. Don't point straight down the middle of the green. If you're going to bowl to the right, you need to face the right. And if you're going to bowl to the left, you need to turn and face towards the left. Usually about a metre to the left or the right of the centre line will roughly do. It depends on how fast the green is running, in other words, how long it takes a bowl to stop, and what sort of bowls you have. The bias varies. Well, I'm going to cover bowls in more detail in a later session, but for now you just need to watch me while I demonstrate. With these bowls, I'll be bowling to the right and then to the left. Now I'm also going to show you the 2 different stances you can use. The first 2 bowls I'll send down, I will use what's known as a fixed stance, so I won't be taking a step forward. And then the next 2 bowls that I send down the green, I'll be using the athletic stance, where I do take a step forward. Which one you use is entirely up to you, whatever you prefer. I use the fixed stance because I have a bit of a dodgy balance mechanism, and if I take a step forward, sometimes I tend to fall over a little bit. So I tend not to take a step forward, although I can get away with it. It's not something that I want to do regularly and fall over on the bowling green. It's not ideal. So the advantage with taking a step forward is that on a green that's what we call heavy, where the bowl slows up quite quickly, it can be quite an effort sometimes getting the bowl all the way down the green. Taking a step forward gives you a little bit more forward momentum, and that can be very handy. Once the green speeds up later on in the summer or indoors where the green is really fast, then you don't really need to take a step forward. But you just do whatever you feel works for you best. One other important point is that you must always have at least 1 foot on or above the mat when you let go of the bowl. It's just one of the rules of the game. So make sure you have at least 1 foot on or above the mat. So here I am, just approaching the mat. I know which way I'm going to go. I'm going to bowl to the right on my forehand. Take my time, I don't rush. Left hand on my knee to steady myself. I touch the ground. You don't have to do that. It's a little habit I've got into. And follow through with my arm along the line that I'm bowling. Let's see how I get on. Yeah, I'll remember that bowl. I sent it a bit quick. It was a bit heavy, so it went quite a long way past the jack. Thinking about it, I'm going to go the other hand this time, still using a fixed stance. We are touch the ground. You don't have to do that, as I say, it's a little habit I get into to make sure I'm low enough. Follow through my arm. I haven't moved at all. That one's a little better, just past the jack. So 2 more bowls to go. Now I'm going to do the athletic stance, where I do take a step forward. So, bowling to the right first on my forehand. So I'm not rushing, I'm taking my time, there's no hurry. Follow through, watch the ball. Here it comes. Just missed the jack that time, still a little bit past the jack. Need to take my weight off slightly. So my last bowl. Again, athletic stance where I take a short step forward. Doesn't have to be a big step. In fact, if it is a big step, you tend to lose your balance if you're not careful. Here we go. Let's see if this one gets nearer. Yep, that's better. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this first video. I hope it wasn't too long. I wanted to cover quite a few things, and I've hopefully done that without boring you to tears. But there is a lot to learn, and you can watch it 2 or 3 times and hopefully learn something each time. I will be doing other sessions. The next session I'll be doing will be on the bowls themselves, because it's quite important that you select or buy a set of bowls that are ideal for you. So I will cover that in quite a bit of detail. I think it's important to cover that, and then you can make a decision. But certainly you need to try as many bowls as you can. I'm not a professional at this, I've never done anything like this before. I just wanted to give people an opportunity to see what lawn bowls is all about. And I've got 35 years experience. I want to share that with as many people as I can. It's a wonderful sport, and the reason I think people stick with it is because it's so forgiving. You get, as long as your hand is big enough to hold a bowl, and as long as you're fit enough to walk up and down a green, anyone can play bowls. It's a wonderful sport, and it's lovely to see people of all ages, both male and female, playing a game on equal terms, and that's really what keeps me in this sport. It's just a lovely game. We at Farnborough, we're always looking for new people to play bowls, and we don't dictate to you how much you play. If you just want to play once or twice a week, that's fine. If you want to play more than that, if you want to get more serious, play in the leagues we play in, or the county or district competitions, then we'll welcome that as well. It's entirely up to you as an individual to decide how much you want to play. But we're here, so come and find us and we'll get you bowling. So, see you again soon.